So last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I did what I do every year, and I just made like care packages with soaps and shower steamers and bath bombs and stuff for every single member of the faculty and staff at the Soap and Clay Kidlets school. But I didn't actually get around to editing the footage that I had for that because I changed my shower steamers this year and used Part and Prince 3D molds that were sent like back in September. And so that's what we're doing today. And I decided that since we're doing that today, we're just gonna do a bath bomb week of all kinds of fun, weird stuff and probably watch me be bad at things. And that got me thinking as to, what I should talk about. And I thought that we should talk about why a soap maker who is incredibly good at all of the soapy things can also be bad at the bath bomb things. I thought that was an interesting thing to discuss, and I will tell you more about all of that in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudzers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you were here for a week of me probably being bad at bath bomb fun, but I did want to talk about that because I know that bath bombs can be so stressful for so many soap makers and it can really make us feel defeated. And I wanted to talk about maybe why we're feeling that way and kind of how I approach it and how I look at it, in context of the making world, because it feels like this should be a very simple thing to do, right? Bath bombs, in and of themselves, are just baking soda, citric acid, and water. And you put those three things together and you have fizzy liftoff, right? And so it seems like it should be a really easy thing, yet people all over the world can be great at making soap, but really bad at making bath bombs. And it feels awful. And I get it. So I'm probably going to show you a bunch of footage this week wherein I am bad at things because I am using shaped molds, and me and 3D molds just historically do not get along super good. But we're going to talk about today why the soap maker is not always just an instant awesome bath bomb maker. So let's get to the video and we can talk about all of that there. Okay, so this week we are talked about bath bombs, while I probably make a whole bunch of bad bath bombs because I am using shaped bath bomb molds, and I do not typically do this. This is not really my style, but I'm trying to branch out, trying to do fun things. This particular, stuff that I'm showing you right now, it's not actually a bath bomb, it's a shower steamer, and I'm doing these because this was in a Part and Prince September, subscription box for bath bomb molds, and I didn't get around to using them until last week for Teacher Appreciation Week, and I made gift sets, care sets for all of the faculty and staff at the Soap and Clay Kidlets schools, and so some of these shower steamers were a part of it. Now, I wanted to talk about bath bombs and why soap makers tend to have kind of such a problem with making bath bombs. Like, we can make such gorgeous soaps and they can be amazing and we don't have any problems, and then whenever it comes time to actually make bath bombs, we are frustrated, right? It's just not working out for us. Something's off with the actual recipe or the mix or the molding or whatever, and it can be really stressful for reasons unknown because, again, we make the soap and the soaps are great. So what gives? Well, I kind of liken it to making, like, the difference between a baker that really, like a bread maker that really enjoys making bread and the whole process of that. So getting out all of your different flours and using different types of flours and using the, bread or the yeast that, so for like a sourdough, for example, that has to do its thing and rot, for a long time. So you have your whatever, and then putting all the ingredients very lovingly and carefully together and allowing them to rise and then punching it down and finding the right gluten, all the structures, all the things, and then making this beautiful loaf of bread. And it's a very long process. That's soap making. Bath bomb making is more like, making Rice Krispie treats, right? Very simple ingredients, not a lot that you can do within the mixing of the ingredients. And yet we, make them. And a lot of the times they just don't go right. Sometimes they are way hard and you have to use, the jaws of life to get them out of your pan. Other times they just don't have enough butter in them or enough, marshmallow goodness, or maybe you've nailed Rice Krispie treats and they are awesome every time. So you start doing fun things with them. Let's put in the tricks. Let's put in marshmallows that are not, actual marshmallows that you melt. Let's do whatever, making them pretty and fun. And people will go to a Rice Krispie treat, a lot more often than they will go to a bread. And that's very strange to me, right? I mean, it has to do with sugar, I think, more than anything when we're talking about baked goods. But this process that should be super easy with the Rice Krispie treats, it can be very complicated, but you can nail bread. So what gives? Well, it's like that with soap making versus bath bomb making. It's the same sort of thing as in you're using the stuff in the bathroom. Both of these products, sure, theoretically using them in the tub. If we have a lot of people who like wash themselves in the tub, which I don't do. I actually, go into the shower and rinse off after taking a bath. But anyway, it's like that, but two wildly different processes. And there's not a lot that you can do within a bath bomb that's actually going to ensure that you have a good batch consistently or, not. Whereas with bread, you can totally do that. You can actually master bread making. You can master soap making. With bath bombs, there is a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of variables that cannot be controlled really from batch to batch until you've done a whole lot of them. And so why is it that soap makers find themselves making bath bombs, continuing to try to do this process that's really kind of frustrating and annoying to them? Why do we do this to ourselves? Well, I think the biggest reason we do this to ourselves is, as I was saying before with the Rice Krispies, people love them. They love them. And so we give the people what they want. And it really does kind of depend on your market audience, right? Like for my wholesale accounts, for example, bath bombs are maybe 5% of what I sell for my wholesale accounts. They are very much soap and other cosmetics driven. And that's just the nature of the types of wholesale accounts that I choose to pick up. But for my retail side on the website, bath bombs are about 40% of my total gain, of my, total profit every month. So bath bombs around 40%, soaps around 50%, and, then the specific grooming products, so face oils and all those things, they are around, the final 10%. And so we make them because there's a market for them. We make them because we want to give our customers something else to purchase, especially during this time of the year when we have holidays and everything coming up. The idea is bath bombs are supposed to be a quick and easy thing that can be made really fast, and it's a nice draw. It's, less expensive than your soaps and nice single-use product. We love that, whatever. But we have a really hard time making them. So we stress ourselves out on this thing that should be seemingly pretty simple. And I think that's maybe us getting in our own heads too much, And by getting in our own heads too much, I really do mean we do tend to just stress out and, kind of not look forward to the bath bomb making process. And so we're nervous going in. And so we are increasing our chances of failure with these. And in reality, this is something that is like, making bread and perfecting a bread recipe, in that you can eventually perfect this, just like you can eventually perfect Rice Krispies. I know that's a really strange thing to continue to say, but my Rice Krispie treats are a disaster at least 50% of the time. But, if I made them more often, they wouldn't be. And that's the point of the bath bombs as well. It really is something that you can perfect with practice, with time. In all actuality, it just kind of starts working once you make a whole lot of bath bombs. And I know that that's really uncomfortable for soap makers because that's not the case. That is not the case with soap. It's really actually very hard to mess up soap, the actual functionality of soap. And usually it has a lot to do with, either too much superfat or you put too many weird additives in that did something strange to the lye. So again, therefore too much superfat or too much lye. Your calculations were a bit off, but you can take a recipe that I created and designed here in the Pacific Northwest and make it in Indonesia, and it is going to be the same. You're still going to end up with soap and it's not going to be a crazy problem. And that's not the case with bath bombs. And so we turn to the YouTubes, we turn to the tutorials, we turn to all the things for bath bomb helps, tips, tricks, all the things. And then it doesn't work out the way that we saw it on the screen. And a lot of that really does have to do with, well, you haven't done enough of them yet. You haven't had enough failed batches before until you get to the point where you don't have failed batches anymore. It's more consistency than anything else. And also, all of the old things about knowing your humidity levels and all the jazz. But I will show you this week a whole lot of different versions of humidity levels, I'm sure, because currently it's sitting at like 83% humidity in the soap shop right now, which is wild. So I'm going to do a week of bath bombs with you guys while I'm in the humid, and we're going to see, how they all work out. But this is something that you need to give yourself a little bit of grace for. Bath bomb making for me does come as second nature. It's as easy as soap making for me personally because I've made a whole bunch of them. And that's just, again, it's just me having to make them because there is an audience for it. And again, my retail clients, if that's 40% of my, of my profit, I gotta learn to be good at them. And I would just suggest with all of that, just to say, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't stress out about it. Don't make any part of the bath bomb experience unfun. While this can be a stressful thing and it can be very, very defeating when you go and look at your bath bombs and they're not looking the way that you want them to and all the jazz. I get it. I do understand, but they can still be personal use. You can still break them down and use them as like fairy powder or whatever, rebrand them to something else. There's other stuff that can be done with a quote unquote failed batch of bath bombs. So just allow yourself the ability and the room to experiment and possibly fail because you're learning from every failure. And just because someone on the internet is doing it wildly better than you could ever, don't let that get in your head. Don't get yourself in your head. Just be kind to yourself and continue practicing, your whole bath bomb journey. It's not a soapy journey with all of this. And eventually this will become second nature to you as well. Now, this is the end result of all of these. And I don't know, working with these 3D molds, especially this guy with the crayons there. I don't know that I liked that experience. It was very tedious. I don't know that I'll ever use them again, but it was fun. The flat ones, I liked a whole bunch better. They were wildly easier to make, but there you go. There's some teacher appreciation shower steamers. I love them. Yeah, so I don't know that the description quite lands, the example that I gave with, comparing it like soap makers are bread makers and, bath bomb makers are Rice Krispie treat makers, because maybe your Rice Krispie treats are great. But the thing is, there's a lot of bath bomb makers who immediately got that concept too. And I'm not suggesting that bath bombs is a lesser skill, because I would never suggest that Rice Krispie treats are lesser, baked good. It's not baked, you get it. But like, it can go wrong for the simplest of reasons at the weirdest of times with the very simple ingredients, as opposed to, your bread thing where you can really perfect and craft a recipe and put all of this time and care and devotion and love into it and really make that perfect every single time. And all the work that goes into doing that with bread versus the work that goes into doing that with Rice Krispie treats, it feels like Rice Krispie treats should be really easy, but sometimes they're not. And that's the same, I think, with the bath bombs versus soap. It's a wildly different process. It's a different way to approach. It has an instant payoff for sure. You get your fizzy awesomeness right away. Soap making is more drawn out. It's longer. There's a lot more patience involved because you have to wait for all the things to cure and lose their water weight and all the jazz. But that doesn't mean that bath bombs are a lesser quality product. They're not. And they are the shiny thing that you can like wave in front of a customer and say, look how pretty, don't you love this, don't you want to buy it? So I get why we end up making them, but I don't really want to see anybody continuing to be discouraged that maybe you're not great at them. It's completely fine that you're not good at bath bombs. Bath bombs can change for a variety of factors. And really, as I said in the video, it's going to be more about just the time you put into it and the number of batches you get under your belt before you get really, really good at it. So that's what I'm thinking with all of it. Those are my 2 cents on it. I think the overarching message is don't beat yourself up. Don't do it. It's a terrible, terrible thing to do, for sure. I hope you enjoyed the fun molds. They were a trial. They were a journey. I don't know. I don't know about them. I ended up using just a crayon one. I didn't even keep putting it into the little container because I had a terrible time getting them in and out, and I didn't like it. The world's best, that was great. You know, I liked that one for sure. The world's best teacher, that was super easy. I love those. All of the bath bombs should be the flat ones from now on. I'm petitioning Alex. So there's that. I am out of here. I actually have to go put on my costume for trunk or treat tonight. So I hope you guys are enjoying this spooky week. I hope you guys have lots of festivities and fun planned. And I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of spooky, but still bath bomb fun. Bye.